Hey there, welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole and this is episode 33. You can find me as Prof Purl on Instagram and Ravelry if you use those. Everything I'll talk about today is linked below in the description box. So this channel is exclusively about knitting, and I mean sometimes there's the rare craft that's non-knitting, but mostly knitting over here. And if you're new, the channel's called Professor Purl because I am a math education professor here in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And I just really love knitting. And so this is a cozy channel about knitting where I just kind of like talk about what I'm up to, what I'm knitting, things like that. So if you're into that, you can grab a cup of coffee or tea and hang out with me and knit. Before I hop into my couple small finished objects, I thought I'd maybe share what I'm wearing. This is one of my favorite sweaters I've made. If you're like a longtime viewer, you might hear me say this is my favorite sweater probably a lot. But I mean, all the things I make that I enjoy wearing in some element, in some way, are like my favorite. Maybe this is how people feel about like having multiple children. I have an only child, but like all of your children are your favorite. But this I think is like maybe the most sophisticated, classy sweater I've ever made. And I feel like I'm really like dressed super nice when I'm wearing it. It is the Diaphanous Raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. I think this is my only design I've knit from her, though that will change and I'll mention that in Dream Knitting. But yeah, so the yarn I knit, I can't pronounce it well. It's a French yarn. Matin. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to any French viewers or anybody that speaks French right now. Beautiful yarn though. Purchased it from Naughty Lamb, which is a yarn store south of Portland. It's in the Rose Yarn Crawl. They have just such a well curated store. And yeah, and so I bought this on one of the Rose Yarn Crawls a few years ago. And I knit this early on in my podcasting or, YouTubing sort of journey. Yeah, and you hold one strand and then you hold up singles and you hold that double with mohair. So this is like a held double, single and mohair. And then on the arms, the sleeves, you hold the mohair single. And then here it's double again. And the pattern had 3 different sleeve options. So they had the bishop sleeve, they had a bell sleeve, and then also a flutter sleeve. I would totally knit this pattern again. Same exact sleeve situation, or I would love like to do the flutter sleeve, like a short sleeve and then the center here, like the V-neck. Some of the sweaters you see for this on Ravelry and Instagram have a very deep V, and I didn't want that. So I think like a modification I did was, I think I went down several needle sizes, and maybe I don't know if I decreased more or not, but if you really like use smaller needles and like knit this thicker, or more rows, like you essentially kind of bring in the V, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want a very deep V personally. I think the other modification I did is the pattern suggested waist shaping, and I didn't do any waist shaping. So mine just goes like straight down, and I just really love it. As you can see, I'm styling this with like kind of like high-waisted gray. We can't tell that they're kind of like bell-bottom jeans, but that's what I'm styling it with. I've also worn this with a skirt. I've worn this with dress pants. So it's really good like as a professor, because I can wear this to teach in, wear it out in my life. It's so good. I love it. So in this color, I feel like it's looking accurate on the screen, but it's this dusty pink. I just love it. So that's what I'm wearing. Let's hop into finished objects. I have 2 finished objects, and they're both small finished objects. And then I have like garments in my whips. Okay, well, technically I have a garment as a finished object, a tiny garment, which is a doll sweater. So this is a test knit that's completed. I'm just laughing because it's my first doll test knit, and I just think that's so funny. And I had a fun time doing it. This is the Anne sweater by, I don't know if you say it Rountree, like no D, Rountree, I don't know. I will link the pattern, the designer, their Instagram below. Though I tested the doll sweater, there's an adult sweater, an adult version of this, and a child version of this. So you could be like matchy, matchy, matchy. Parent-child doll, like how cool is that? Yeah, I mean, so let's do my little tiny version. It had a lot of skill level, like a lot of like, you know, it's a doll sweater, so you think like, it's gonna be easy. And I mean, it's totally capable and it's well written, but I feel like I learned some things. I learned a new bind off here. It looks like it's a rolled edge, but and it kind of is, but it's a special bind off described in the pattern. There's these poop sleeves. This is good. And yeah, so the sweater I knit is this is Luciana. She's got a purple streak in her hair. How cool is that? She's an American Girl doll. I have a 5-year-old, so this is one of Matilda's American Girl dolls. But it also can fit a bitty baby, and I did try it on a bitty baby as well, and it also fits that. And then there's other sizes for smaller dolls. The reason why this fits both a American Girl doll and a bitty baby is that, like, the doll can have, I mean, this is kind of like stretchy. And so, yeah. I mean, if you buy American Girl doll clothes, they are not interchangeable between the bitty baby and the American Girl doll, but like this sweater is, so that's kind of fun. When I gave it to Matilda, she was like, that's awesome. Like, does it come off? Like, she was very worried that it wouldn't come off. Basically, these pants, though they look like really cool with this sweater, they're part of a pilot outfit. So I think Matilda wanted to put the pilot outfit back on, but so Matilda wasn't like too excited about the sweater, but I knit this out of scrap yarn. It is Madelinteosh, and it's like scrap. I don't even know what Madelinteosh base it is. It was like thicker than a worsted, like an Aran, and I do know the color was Candlewick, and you can see it's so tonal, and the stitch definition on that is quite nice. So yeah, I'm excited that I have a doll finished object test knit done on time. This pattern the doll version will release on the 7th of April. The child and adult patterns are already out, so you can be matchy-matchy. What else did I want to say about this? I really enjoy making doll clothes, and knitting this sweater for this doll made me kind of like want to make sure that I do that some more. Like I've knit other things that are matchy-matchy. Like I've knit 2 anchors, like an anchors cardigan for Matilda and a matching doll anchors. I've knit some shawls for the dolls, like little mini shawls. And so, I mean, I have knit for Matilda's doll before, but, or dolls plural, but I want to do more of it. It fills my bucket. Like, I learned to knit as a child, and so when you learn to knit as a child, like the things you knit as a child are obviously different as an adult. And so as a child, I like was very into knitting for my dolls, and I loved my American Girl dolls. They were like, it would be dramatic to say one of the best parts of my childhood, but like definitely like one of my favorite toys. Like I really, really have these like wonderful memories of playing with them, reading the books and knitting for them. And so when I was knitting this doll sweater, it like really filled my bucket, like that nostalgia bucket. And so the joy I felt was a little bit surprising because it's a little doll sweater, but I just really loved it. So kind of made me wonder about like nostalgic knits, like what's a nostalgic knit for you? I think another nostalgic knit, I don't know if I'd knit one of them again, but like what I have like these like fun feelings about are like those eyelash yarns. Do you remember those? In like, I feel like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was like this like eyelash yarn kind of craze and like knitting skinny little scarves. I must have knit so many of these, and I made them for like different coats and outfits, and like I just remember feeling like so cool, like knitting rectangle, skinny rectangle after skinny rectangle after skinny rectangle, these like crazy yarns. Anyway, let me know if you have a nostalgic knit. So my next finished object is in this Barley Purls bag. That is my, I call it like my work knitting bag now. I basically bring this to work every day, the office. And it's big, and it has these like little, it's like a little ring inside here, so keep little scissors and needle gauge, things like that. And what I've been carrying around in here was like a sock and a Sophie scarf. And I finished knitting a Sophie scarf. This is my third Sophie scarf. Okay, I let the progress keeper in here because I thought it was so cute and Eastery. It's a little purple peep. I can't remember where I got it from. I feel like Simply Serving, but I could be wrong. I'll put Etsy. It was a while ago. So let me tell you about this yarn. This yarn is the colorway Irrationally Imaginary, which is a little bit of a math joke. And it's from Purls and Postulates. I use the Harris sock, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Though it's a 75-25, I will say the space is very plump. And I held that fingering with mohair, which is 72% kid mohair, 28% silk. So I held the fingering in the mohair to get a DK weight to knit the Sophie scarf. And so I've made three. One I made out of like an alpaca, holding it single. One I've held fingering double. And then this is my first fingering in mohair one. And hardly used any yarn. Like I weighed my yarn this morning and this is 73 grams. And so assuming I started with 100 grams, which I didn't weigh it in advance, but I assume it's about 100. Like, I mean, I used 25 grams plus or minus some grams. But I guess what I'm saying is multiple Sophie scarves could be made. Or I could knit a pair of socks with the leftover yarn. There's so much mohair and so much fingering. Like, I have a sock pattern called the Selena socks, which are fingering and mohair together. I was thinking I could even do that with this leftover. So I want to do something nice with the leftover yarn because I really like this colorway a lot. And I don't know if you can tell, but like there's a aesthetic here. Like it like all matches. And when I put the sweater on this morning, I wasn't thinking about this matching. So that's what's really funny to me right now, seeing this in the camera. It looks like it matches. This is different though. Like this is a very solid tonal pink. And let me show you this so you can see how different this is. It's a similar like pink value, if you will, of it, but there's these like orange and purple flecks in it, and sometimes like purpley pink. You can see that. And that made it really fun as you're knitting. And anyway, so I like this a lot. I haven't blocked it, so it'll stretch out a little bit when I block it. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about like how I style the Sophie scarves. One way I wear them is just like, and like probably my favorite way to wear them is like with a button-up shirt or like a v-neck shirt. So a button-up or a v-neck, and just sort of like tying it like a little ascot like this. And my first one I knit is like a smaller version and very drapey, and so it's the way I wear that one like almost exclusively. Oh, there's mohair floating around. And so yeah, just like this, and with like a denim button-up or something like that. And that's something I like to thrift for. I like to go to like a thrift store and look for like vintage, oversized button-ups. And so yeah, that's one way I style it. And my second one particularly is much bigger than my first one. And so I will like wrap it around like this and just kind of tie it like this. And I think this is very cute look. And this is like matchy match and like a little bit ridiculous that this matches my sweater so well, but I would actually do this in real life. Like I like it kind of that it's kind of ridiculous. It's so matchy match, but I don't mind being ridiculous. So yeah, this is like another way I really love wearing it. And this is nice when I'm like riding my bike and I'm cold, or you know, something like this. When I'm teaching, I don't want something so much on my neck like this, but I do enjoy this out like on a walk or like at coffee or something like this. And then the third way I like to style it is like just tying this as like a bow on a bag. Like I have like a little purse or a handbag, just kind of wrapping it around as a bow. I think you could also wear this as like a head wrap, though I haven't done that yet. But I might give that a try sometime. So, and then another way that's used in our household and exclusively to our whole household is Matilda plays with these. So she loves my Sophie scarves. She takes them and she says they're hers, and you know, she's 5. And so this is actually like a legitimately amazing scarf for a child. Like it fits her like how we would want like a shawl or a scarf to fit us. And so, yeah, so I really like this a lot. So before I depart from the Sophie scarf and go to my very cool work in progress, I wanted to kind of make a little announcement about Purls and Postulates. So the Purls and Postulates, I discovered Jessica's dyeing because it's math related. Like, I don't know when. It was before I started a YouTube channel, and I think I saw the word postulates and like clicked on her Instagram. Because in math, we have postulates, and so that drew me in. And then I noticed that like all of her yarn is like math or science themed. She has a STEM initiative, and I had a colorway in there, like math education professor, and the sock set. And so the little mini was called Number Line, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm knitting a love note out of that colorway. Anyway, so I'm a big fan of her dyeing and her aesthetic. Like, one thing I really love about her dye style is that she uses fun colors and does a lot of speckling. And I'm here for the speckles always. So I feel like she's got a very clear aesthetic, and I like nearly all of her colorways. Like they fit into something I would knit with regularly. And so anyway, just giving a shout out to her. But then she asked me if I would like hang out in her booth and do like a meet and greet at this fiber festival called Flock, which will be Flock Fiber Festival, which will be in Seattle, Washington, the first week of August. And I was like, you know, sure, I doubt anybody will want to like stop by, but sure. And she's like, oh yes. And so anyway, I'm just taking it as an opportunity to hang out with Jessica in her yarn booth and say hi to people. And so I will be at the Flock Fiber Festival I bought a ticket so I can do shopping and things like this. And I bought my ticket for Saturday. But what I'm unsure about is like when I'm in our booth exactly. Like I could do it Saturday, maybe Sunday. I'm not sure. Jessica and I haven't like ironed out those details, but I will be in her booth for sure one of the days. And I'm also shopping there. And so we should say hi if you're going. Let me know if you're going to the Flock Fiber Festival. I'd love to say hi if we haven't met yet. And I'm wildly excited about it. I'm trying to think. I've been to fiber festivals. Like I've been to Stitches in the Midwest like a long time ago. And I've been to like, I feel like smaller kind of yarn festivals, but I've never been to something that's like, I don't know how to describe it. This feels like official. I don't know. I guess they're all official in some kind of way, but it's not my first yarn event. Like I've done the Rosie Yarn Crawl and things, but it feels like my first like big festival. Though I don't know if Flock Fiber Festival is big, but I will say this. If you go to their Instagram and you just like cruise through the grid, you can see why I'm so excited and I don't know how to articulate the words. I feel like there's just going to be so many amazing dyers and bag makers and all that there. Like I am getting really, really excited. Like there's one dyer called Super Glow that I like have been following and kind of coveting for a while, and like they're gonna be there. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop going on and on, but I'm really excited to go. I last recorded, I have one work in progress to show you. Do I have lots and lots of works in progress? Yeah, like more than 20 friends, more than 20. Like, I have the exact number in a notebook over there. It's like closer to 30, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of whips, but only one that I'm working on since I last recorded consistently. And that is my Heritage Harbor sweater by Samantha Guerin. It started out as a test knit and it's out now. It's mostly knit minus one sleeve and a little collar. And it fits me so good, so I'm really excited about it. It's a DK weight sweater. It's a drop shoulder design, which is really, it's fun for me because I knit a lot of circular yokes. I don't know what you'd call this design. I will say this Diaphanous was a very unique construction. So this is not a good example of what I mostly knit, but I mostly knit circular yokes. So the drop shoulder, where it like, you knit kind of the back panel and then the shoulder drops down, was kind of like, I've only knit a handful of these. So this was good for me to do. It has this like texture pattern that's like very like potato chip, I feel like, because, and I hear people say that a lot and I'm like one of those people now that says that, but it's just like easy to knit and it keeps your interest because you're like, oh, stockinette, oh, change color, stockinette, easy texture. And you're not like attached to your pattern, but you're creating something that's interesting. And the pattern was designed for 2 colors, which is great because then there's not a lot of ends to weave in. Though I did not do that. I usually use lots of different colors, which that's also great if you have scraps. And I personally had an advent, the MadTosh 12 Days of Christmas from 2021. So not this past year, but the year before, that I hadn't touched. I mean, I opened it up and like loved it, but I hadn't made anything, and now I'm making something with it. So that's really cool. And the main color is West Yorshire Spinners, like a natural British wool that I also had in my collection. So yeah, and I've really been enjoying that. So how did I pick the colors I did? I just wanted to use up all the colors that were in the 12 Days of MadTosh. And it turned out there was 13 colors. So these are all unique colors. And then these are unique colors. And then there was a 13th color. It was like in the extras. So there was actually 13, not 12 colors. But I needed 2 more stripes on the sleeve. So how was I going to decide? So what I did is I put all the colors in a bag, and Kyle's my husband and Matilda's my daughter. And I went up to them and I said, pick one. and like close your eyes and pick one. And so this is what Kyle drew out, and this is what Matilda drew out. And I think they look really nice on this sleeve. So that's the sleeve. And so I'm starting the second sleeve, and my plan is, okay, I'm doing the sleeve colors exactly the same up to here. And so I feel like I have two choices. So choice one would be to knit a sleeve that is exactly identical to this sleeve, which I feel like would be the responsible thing to do. Have a sleeve that's kind of crazy with all these stripes, and then have two identical sleeves. So there's like that option, which I do feel like is the responsible choice. But there's an option too, which is that I do these here, and just like I had Kyle and Matilda pick out two random ones out of the bag, I could put all my little mini skeins back in a bag, shake it up, and have them pick two more and do that for the bottom. And that's a little quirky and like, but I'm kind of liking that idea. I'm not really sure. What do you think? Should I be responsible to matching sleeves, or should I do the kind of quirky option where I have them draw out two different colors at the end? Let me know if you have opinions. I'm just going all out on the finishes for this. So I took the time to do the beautiful tubular here. And so what the nice thing about that is, if you do a tubular bind off or an Italian bind off, is that it has this kind of like, you can just see it just kind of like flows over. I did it on the sleeve. And I'll do it on the other sleeve. And then for the collar, there's different options. And I think a folded over collar, like, I think it's a little extra work because you're knitting essentially a double collar and then folding it under and then sewing it. So it's like a little extra work. But I'm going to do just kind of these extra fine details on it because why not? And it'll just be this treasure piece. It's such a classic sweater that I can just see myself wearing this as like a 90-year-old woman and still loving it. And so that's sort of the goal here with this piece, is just to create this really classic looking thing. Because I have cream yarn with like the red, I think my plan is to buy color catchers, and when I wet block this, make sure I put color catchers in so that my cream yarn doesn't like turn pink or something like this. So hopefully the next time I record this will be done. It's starting to warm up out here in the Pacific Northwest, so part of me is like, well, maybe I won't have any time to wear this. But then the other part of me remembers what the Pacific Northwest is like, and you could be wearing sweaters in June. Like it's warm here. It gets warm. We have a warm summer, but also it's can be cold for quite a while. And I can remember when Matilda was a baby, I had finished a really thick colorwork DK sweater, and like we went in July to the coast, and I like brought that sweater and wore it. So yeah, I'm just so excited about this sweater. It's such a good one, such a classic one. We are to the dream knitting section of the episode. I am so excited about this thing to share. I need to preface this with, I have a fanny pack. It's yellow, and it's like a Mountain Hardwear fanny pack, and I wear it like when I go hiking and things. And I love it. And I also wear it to the zoo. And I wear it like, not like the cool kids wear it. Like people wear their fanny packs like kind of across this way now. I wear mine like old school 90s style, like a regular old fanny pack. And it's really good. There was a piece of me that was like, maybe I should get something that's like a little bit more like less rough and like, outdoorsy hiking. And I should get one that's more like city bound, like one where I can like wear out and about, which sounds so wild when I'm saying this aloud, because like my hiking fanny pack I could wear other places hiking, and I do, like to the zoo, but I wouldn't wear, I feel like, my hiking zoo fanny pack. I don't know why. I wouldn't wear it to like a dinner. So I wanted like a black leather kind of fanny pack or a belt bag, if you will. And like I was looking up some belt bags, like leather ones, like responsible ones. I say responsible because like, this is like gonna rabbit hole here quick. And I don't know, I think it was like Shayla from Black Pearl Magic. In her stories, she shared this teddy belt bag, and I was like, what? And so then I ended up like spiraling, and instead of like buying a responsible black leather belt, I ended up buying like a kit to make a ridiculously like pink and glittery and speckled fanny pack and knit it. Okay, a lot of buildup, like too much buildup. Okay, there's a pattern called the Teddy Belt Bag. And it is the Teddy Belt Bag is designed by a Knitwear by Joan pattern. And I started following this designer on Instagram. Mind blown. Like, so good. I will make sure I link all their things below because it's like, it's wonderful. And like, I feel like this designer has like this aesthetic that's like very like classy, but also cool, right? Because like a belt bag, it uses boucle yarn. So like, I hate to use the word trendy because it makes it feel like it's not stylish, maybe. Like, maybe that's what I'm looking for. Something that's like a contemporary and stylish. That's what they got going on, okay? And it's wonderful. But then the Summer Camp Fibers had these kits for like this, but like a little bit more. Like the kits had like rose gold zippers or zippers that were gold that had like a little flower on them and speckles and glitter to add to it, sequins. So I purchased a kit. I like couldn't help myself. And I tried not to. I was like, first of all, like, will you actually knit this? Who knows? Also, like, there's gonna be sewing involved. Like, zipper, intimidating. Like, all these things were telling me, like, no. Responsible black belt bag, that's what you should get instead. Like, all these things, like, were telling me to not buy this kit. And I was, like, hanging out with Matilda at the park, playing outside, going to the library, and, like, just, like, living my best life with Matilda and having the most fun day. And in every instant, my brain would just, like, float to this, like, this belt bag. And I was like, I have to do it. I have to do it. And I'm so excited about it. And I haven't been this excited about anything in like a long time. So I'm like hoping it works out. I'm tracking this package, tracking it. And it's supposed to come on the 6th in a couple days. And I'm going to cast out immediately. So let me just tell you about my belt bag, though I don't have any of the supplies in my hand. Picture this. Iridescent thread held throughout. Picture this. Kind of like a white boucle, but like with hot pink and blue speckles. And a rose gold zipper. And then I'm going to wear it like the young kids, and I'm going to wear it across like this. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I want to knit it immediately. I want to have it for this summer. I want to have it for when I go to the Flock Fiber Festival. Let me know if you're a fanny pack wearer. Let me know. And let me know what kind of fanny pack. Is it the rugged kind? Is it the leather kind? Is it the Lululemon? Like, are you knitting one? Have you seen this? Stop what you're doing. This is going to be amazing. I'm so excited about it. Okay, I'm going to pivot away from the Teddy belt bag, although it's like truly the main thing I've been thinking about knitting wise, and talk about last episode. So last episode of the Dream Knitting, I mentioned that I really want to make a tank top, and I do. But I think I've been saying that for like summer after summer for quite a while now. I would say at least 3 years. I've thought about like the want to make a tank top, but what ends up happening is I knit other things over the summer. I think I actually cast this on in the summer, and this is like such a good thing to cast on in the summer because you don't feel rushed, and then when you finish it, it helps you anticipate the fall. So I do love knitting fall and winter and spring garments like through the summer slowly. But I think I do that to the point where I don't embrace summer knitting, and I never make a tank top. So I put it out there in the universe like, hey, would anybody be interested in doing a tank top knit along? And a lot of people said yes. And I think it was a motivation I needed to know I wouldn't be alone knitting a tank top. And so people messaged me on Ravelry, Instagram, here on YouTube, and yeah, even if there's just a small handful of us, like that's awesome. So, and I got suggestions from people that were chatting with me about it. And so here's the deal. More details to come, but here's so far what I'm thinking. And let me know if you have suggestions. We'll do a tank top, knit or crochet or make along. So you can, like, just to be inclusive, you can knit or crochet your tank top. So the thought is like a fiber tank top. And I want the cast on to be May 1st. And my thought about that is a couple things. One is that I will be done with school. Like right now I'm in the midst of a spring semester. My spring semester will be done. I looked up when final exams are, and I think my last final exam is the 26th. So I'm hoping I will be like done giving final exams, done being graded, and I can like celebrate the beginning of a summer season, even though it's not really summer, May 1st, on May 1st with the tank top cast on. So that's like one thought. I think the other thought is like, I think some people will knit tank tops really fast. And so if you cast on May 1st for the fast knitters, like they could be done in early or mid-June and enjoy it in June. So, and then I also wanted to cast on May 1st because if we go on May 1st, then we can have it for 3 months, May, June, and July. So finish on July 30th, 3 months. And then that way there's not this like time pressure of like, oh, I have to rapidly knit a tank top. I mean, 3 months seems like a doable timeline to knit a tank top. So I felt like that would be nice for people that like don't want to feel rushed with their knitting. They could have 3 months to knit a tank top. And then for like the faster knitters, like I was thinking, or the people that are like really excited and passionate about tank tops, they could knit more than one if they wanted. If I'm like thinking about it today, I was like, oh, I would love to knit at least 2 tank tops, the outline tank top and the Moon Crush. The outline is by Jacqueline Cieslak. No, the outline is by Jessie Maed Designs, and the Moon Crush is by Jacqueline Cieslak. And I don't even know which one I would cast on first. I'm kind of, I don't even know, because I'm just so pumped about both and the yarn for both. So I would like to do 2 tank tops. That seems a little bit overambitious in a way though for me, because I've never even knit one. I don't even know how it's going to fit in my wardrobe and if I'll actually wear it or not, which has been sort of my hesitation. So I don't know. We'll see if I do one, see if I do 2. But I think the knit along will help me, motivate me to cast it on. I'm not sure about other things, like what we'll do for like a cast on party or Zoom times or anything like that, but know that it's coming and you can start thinking about it. Somebody suggested a tank top along hashtag, so I'll put that here. And right now there's no tank top along hashtag on Instagram. I mean, we could use it. I'm saying it would be good for our make along, and I think it's knitting and crochet inclusive since it's just a long tank top along. Anyway, so if you have any suggestions about a tank top make along, let me know. Love to hear it. So I guess it's official. we have a make-along coming up. Okay, we are to the acquisitions part of the episode. So last week was spring break. I went back to teaching this week, and my first day back from teaching, I got some Happy Mail, and it wasn't timed. It just was like serendipitous, and it was amazing. I got this charm, this Progress Keeper from Charmed and Dangerous. It's Wednesday from the Addams Family. I love that show. Let me know if you've watched it. If you haven't watched it, you should. Wednesday is, I love her. And yeah, so I wanted one of these for a long time. And Charmed and Dangerous has had multiple pre-orders, and I always miss them. And it's like a bad excuse because it's on a Saturday, so I should be able to do it. But it's also not a bad excuse. I'm spending time with Matilda and Kyle. Every Saturday we go swimming, and I'm in the pool with Matilda when the pre-orders like tend to go up for Charmed and Dangerous. Just with the time zone difference, it's like, I think it's like basically, I feel like it's 9 a.m. my time usually. So basically I'm just always like swimming when these things go open. So I always miss them, and I'm so sad because like, it's so cute. Well, my friend Megan was like, I got out of the pool, like dried off, or going to the coffee shop, and I checked my phone, and she was like, hey, there's some of these Wednesday Progress Keepers in the shop still. I know that you really want one. And I think they were in the shop still because they were just like, I think she like did it like not announcing it, like on Instagram maybe. And I just feel like I lucked out because her stuff sells out like this. And yeah, I didn't that day for some reason. And so I got it after swimming, and then it arrived like my first week back from spring break, and it cheered me up. I mean, I wasn't sad to be back from spring break, but like a little piece of me was enjoying the break, and like now I'm still thinking about summer break a lot. And like, so anyway, I just can't get enough of this. And you know, I'm rambling about a Progress Keeper, but I just love it. Okay. Also in the mail that day was my Arkansas Yarn Company Sock Society box, which is like a surprise box. I have none of the like extras to show, like, because Matilda opened it up with me and she like wanted all the extras. Like there was like this little like gel pen, glitter, jelly beans, like things like this. And so Matilda wanted them. But I have the yarn. And look how cute that is. Lindsay from Always Yarn First has an unboxing video, and I always watch it after I open mine. And I enjoy watching her video because she gets a sparkle base, and it's so cool because the sparkle base looks totally different. I mean, I guess they speckle differently on different bases, so that's why, but I mean, it's looking a little blown out here, but anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. There's a part of me that wants to take all the Arkansas Yarn Company yarn that I haven't knit with yet and like play with it and make it like either like a garter marler kind of sweater by Stephen West, or a Gardy Party by Out of the Bluebird box, or Stephen West has a new shawl that's like the Eyelet Burst shawl. I just think like playing with my skeins from Arkansas Yarn Company will be fun to use in that way. I know Lori from Arkansas Yarn Company and Lindsay from Always Yarn First, they are doing blankets, and their blankets look so cute. I just don't feel like I'm a blanket knitter. I think sometimes on the internet I want to like do the things other people are doing because it just looks amazing, like making a blanket, but I like know myself, and I'm like, I like to knit things I can wear. And so yeah, I want to play with some of my yarn and make something I can wear. And there's so many projects that use like 4 or 5 skeins of yarn, like 4 or 5 different skeins of yarn that are shawls or sweaters, that I know that I can find something really fun to do with this. Okay, the last thing I want to show is a gift from my mom to Matilda. I mean, she's sent quite a few things lately. I just thought I'd show this one. So my mom crocheted Matilda a little dress here. The name of the dress, I wrote it down, is Like a Pink Cloud Dress. And it's supposed to be knit out of cotton yarn. I don't know what my mom used for this. On one hand, it feels like it could be a cotton blend. I will say this, it's very heavy. So I don't know that it is actually cotton fully. I think she was running out of yarn, so she did the white here at the bottom, which looks okay. The original design is all one color, which I really like a lot too. And yeah, so my mom sent Matilda a package that had a bunch of Easter things in it and this, and she was so cute to open it. And this is the last thing she opened, so she was just enjoying the thing she was opening. And she gets to this, and Matilda's like, a yarn dress, seriously? Which I think like really is like so funny, because it's like, you crazy yarn people, everything's about yarn. And yeah, so I thought that was cute. And so at first it sounded like, you know, maybe she didn't like it because she was like, a yarn dress, seriously? But then she put it on and she wore it the rest of the day and was like, it's like one of those dresses that kind of twirls when you wear it. And it was like, it's kind of holey, and I don't have something to wear her yet. I will get something that's kind of holey so it's see-through. So I didn't want her to wear it out, and I wanted to change her out of it. And she was like, no, no, no. And like kind of like throwing a fit, like wanting to wear it out. So I let her just wear it. But yeah, so yeah, she really likes it, and it's a good gift. Welcome to the Sip Sip Knit section of the episode. In this segment, I like to talk about what I'm drinking, maybe my mug, you know, the cozy things. So I'm drinking a Caravan coffee this afternoon. I'm like one of those people that will drink coffee all day long. Last episode I shared I had a kidney stone, so I am also drinking water now. Though I'm having an afternoon coffee, I'm also supplementing water in between. I have it in this really cool handmade mug. Okay, for this Sip Sip Knit, I posted some questions, like Q&A thing on Instagram. I said, do you have any questions for me? And I got a couple. So one of the questions on Instagram was advice on getting sweaters completed. I now have 2 sweaters that only need an arm, only need a sleeve. This is from Bobby. I laughed when I read this question because I feel like there are certainly people probably better qualified to answer this than me, because I have like so many sweater whips. Like this box here is full of my sweater whips. There's 2 boxes from IKEA here, and they are full of all my whips. And there's several sweaters in here. And so, yeah, I think it's just funny because I have so many sweater whips, but I do finish sweaters. I think I've finished 2 sweaters this year, at least 2. And yeah, so I don't know. I think like one thing that I see people on YouTube doing, which it's never worked for me, is people on the internet, and it seems to work for them very well. Many people use the 30 minutes a day thing. I watch the Crazy Sock Lady. You know, there's all these people that do the 30 minutes in the morning and it works for them. And I like that idea. But I don't have 30 minutes in the morning. My mornings are really chaotic. Like, you know, I'm a mom to a preschooler. You can just imagine. Maybe somebody out here knows what I'm talking about. Are you somebody that can't do the 30 minutes in the morning? But from what I hear, people will pick a project that maybe they're feeling sluggish about, and they can work on it 30 minutes in the morning, and then they can do other things throughout the day and the evening, and just that little bit, tick, 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 you know, things get done. And I think that sounds noble. I think that sounds terrific. It doesn't work for everybody, right? And so you could say, well, you could adjust your 30 minutes to a different point. And that would probably be my evening. But my evening, I just want to be cozy and do what I want. And I don't want to think about it as 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So you just hearing myself talk makes me think like maybe I could do like a 30-minute lunch thing. Like I deserve 30 minutes of a lunch break. I usually do a working lunch if I'm being honest. But I deserve a 30-minute lunch break. Perhaps I could entertain the idea of like a 20 or 30-minute lunch knitting. This is good for me to talk a lot. I appreciate that. But that is something that I've seen on the internet that works well for people. How do I motivate myself when I have something like a sleeve left or something? If I'm being honest, like about this Heritage Harbor sweater, I am feeling kind of like a little sluggish about it. Like I've lost my mojo. And so I had these like little projects in between, like the Sophie scarf and the doll sweater. But I am the prize. This is it. I'm going to finish it. And so I'm setting little goals for myself, like micro goals. So my micro goal is like to do like one of the little repeats a day, no matter what distraction I have of, oh, I need to cast something on new, whatever little project I want to do. If I was really motivated to do, I'd say a full repeat, which is this, the cream, the color, the cream, and then the texture, a full repeat a day. But I'm not even saying that. I'm saying like one set of stripes. So like one of these a day. And if I do that, eventually it'll add up. And inevitably, I want to do more than that. So I just will set like little micro goals. Like I want to do that a little bit each day. But then I set like a next layer goal where I'm like, oh, I'd like to really be done with this sleeve on Easter Monday. So after Easter Monday, it would be awesome if this sleeve was done by then. Like I'll set like little goals in my head like that. And some people write them down. I don't write them down because for me, like my planner where I write goals down is like a sacred space. And I only write things there that like I really absolutely have to and will accomplish, especially in my professor life. So there's these like little mini goals I set for myself that are mental that I don't write down, but maybe you could write them down. Who knows? So that's one way. I think the other way is I'll just like kind of re-energize the project. Maybe I switch out my progress keeper. Like I switched out a progress keeper here. I had a very cute one from Arkansas Yarn Company that was for Valentine's Day, and then I switched it out to this Charmed and Dangerous Pet Rock. So just like little things I'll do like that will like re-energize me and re-excite me for it. And it's so interesting when I get sluggish about a project because it doesn't mean I don't love it. And so it's like, why am I sluggish about it? I'm feeling like perhaps the why I'm feeling sluggish about this is I want to cast something else on. I want to do other things. I want to knit other sweaters. And I feel like I've experienced the fun, you know, like I did this whole body, I did this whole sleeve. And so like doing a second one. People knit 2 sleeves at a time, probably for the same reason. Like I have so many single socks, so it's not surprising to me that a second sleeve would feel like yeah. So there are some ideas, but you know, what's it called, like the hive mind? Comment below if you have suggestions on motivating yourself for finishing sweaters or a second sleeve, something like that. It would be helpful for me. Okay, the next question was from Maddie from the We Share Nails podcast. She asks, what's your favorite memory or experience since starting the pod? And I loved this question. And I also I didn't because it's so hard to pick like your favorite experience, like one. And so I'm gonna share a couple. Hopefully that's okay. I think honestly my favorite experience was just doing the first episode, because I remember feeling just so scared, and I think I wanted to do a YouTube channel for a long time, and I just felt like so intimidated because there's just so many YouTube channels out there. And as a professor, I feel like we're like trained, like you need a unique voice, and I just remember feeling like I don't know if I have anything unique to say, and feeling like maybe I was just feeling insecure about it. I don't know. And so I was just feeling these feelings of insecurity, but also at the same time I was feeling like desperate for community. I honestly like was feeling very lonely knitting wise. Like at that point in my life, like I didn't have any Instagram friends. Like I didn't even know, this sounds so ridiculous when I say it out loud, but I didn't know you could like DM somebody like and say, hey, how's it going? Okay, nobody does that, hey, how's it going? But like now I have like DMs with like other knitters and we talk about knitting things. But that point in my life, before I had my YouTube channel, I didn't really know you could do that. I maybe had 100 followers on Instagram. Like I didn't have any internet knitting friends. And I had some real life knitting friends, like my mom knits, and I know that, you know, I can talk to my mom about knitting, and that's nice. And there's a knitting group out here in this area. But as like a mom, it was very hard, as like a mom of a young human, to go to these knit groups where like children aren't necessarily welcome. So yeah, I like was feeling like lonely for community. So I kind of set that up to say, so I was just shocked and surprised at my first episode that like people actually watched it, people actually commented, like, and I actually gained friends out of it. Like all that was so shocking. And I was legitimately like so surprised by it that it remains to this day like one of my favorite memories, because I just remember just being like in awe that like anybody would comment back. And now, and I think that's important because that makes every one of these episodes like my favorite, because it's like I have people, and I have friends. Okay, 2 more favorite experiences. And for that same sort of like being shocked, I remember the first time I had a knit along. My very first knit along was a love knit along, and I remember thinking like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't really know how to host a knit along. I don't know like what will happen to it. And it was like an authentic real knit along. Like I did a YouTube live, people showed up and were chatting. I remember like kind of sweating before doing the YouTube live, thinking nobody would show up, and then like people did, and we had a great chat, and so many people I became friends with out of that knit along. And so that was like really cool. And on that knot of friends, maybe about a year ago, maybe more, I started like regular Zoom sessions associated with this channel. So I have like knit nights. You can see about that on the Ravelry thread or email me about it. But the first Thursday of every month, though it's not the first Thursday of this month, but in general, the first Thursday of every month, I've had a Zoom session where like anybody's welcome to come and have this knit night. Well, there's some people that come regularly, and when you meet on Zoom to chat and you're knitting and you're just like socializing for an hour or so once a month for over a year, I feel like you become like close friends with people. And I feel like there's like these people I've really connected with through that Zoom that I feel like are like my like real life friends, not just like my internet friends. I mean, they feel like real life friends meeting them on Zoom. It's so interesting now that like something like Instagram and YouTube and Zoom can make you feel like you have these authentic relationships that are real, even though you're not physically in the same room. I mean, one of my friends, Belinda, is all the way in Australia, you know, and it's so interesting. yeah, and if you would have asked me, you know, when I started this 2 summers ago, like, would I feel so like richly blessed by all these friends and have all these friends, I would have said no. And like, I wouldn't have thought I could have this many authentic friendships. And I didn't know. If I knew what I know now, I would have started my YouTube channel a long time ago. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're like wanting to start a YouTube channel and you're feeling nervous, you should try it. It's worth it. And yeah. Okay. And okay. Speaking of my friend Belinda, how many Sophie scarves is too many Sophie scarves? My friend Belinda asked that. She's like, oh my gosh, like she's like me. She's got tons of whips. She finishes a lot of hers. I mean, I guess I finished some of mine too, but that's why we have some content on here. But she's also really into Sophie scarves like me. I don't know. If you're watching this, Belinda, comment how many Sophie scarves you've done. She might, I don't know. She might have. It's possible she's knit more Sophie scarves than me, or we've knit about the same. I've knit 3. I will knit more. There will be a 4th. Oh, that reminds me. I'm so committed to this idea of knitting lots of Sophie scarves that I actually this year I had purchased my own, like purchased a new needle just for Sophie scarves. It's like, I call it my Sophie scarf needle. And it's this, if you haven't seen, and I showed it last episode, but it's the unicorn from Addie. And I had this like epiphany. I was like, what's this a funny name that's called unicorn? I just realized this the other day. It kind of looks like a unicorn, like maybe you already saw this. Anyway, it's got this pink cable. You know, it's not as nice as the Chowgo cable, but it's pretty nice. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy more of these for other projects. I really like this needle. This is my Sophie scarf needle. There will be a 4th one on here eventually. So anyway, that concludes the Sip Sip Knit segment. I really enjoyed answering some of those questions. Maybe I should do that again. Anyway, I think we'll go into the next section now. From this point forward, there's no more yarn. So if you were only here for the knitting, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. One of the things I like to do in the personal section is share what I've been reading. And since I last recorded, I finished reading 2 books. The first book I finished reading is Deep Work. I first read this book when it first came out in 2016, I think. I could be wrong with that, but I think it was 2016. It was like the end of my first year in my first tenure track professor job. So I had just finished my PhD. I was just starting my first like tenure track position, and it was just coming to this end, and I was like reading these productivity books, and I read Deep Work. And I really, like, at the time felt like it made a profound impact in my life and like my work habits. And I remember taking notes on it and like adjusting sort of my life. And then Maddie from the We Share Needles podcast said she listened to this book with her father, like on a road trip. And it reminded me of how much I liked reading that book. And so I thought, I'll read it again and see if I get anything out of it now on the other side. Like, I'm tenured now. I'm an associate professor. Like, I'm in a different stage of my career. So I was just wondering, like, what might I get out of it this time? And it was so cool to reread it. Like, I think I binge read this. Like, I read it just in a few days. I just like couldn't get enough of it. Like, it was cool because I was like connecting it to life changes in my like work routine that I made in 2016, and like seeing kind of like how they fleshed out in my career like now. And it was just neat to see that. But then I was also noticing new things in the book, like that I could start doing now at this stage in my career, and like, well, I could have done them in the past. But essentially it's a book about creating space in your life for deep thinking. So if you are in a career like that's in academics, like a professor, I 10 out of 10 recommend this. I actually think every untenured tenure track professor should have to like read this book. It's so good. And like more than even, like better than even I think a book about writing, because this isn't a book about writing. But there's other careers like tech careers, like if you own your own business, if you're an artist, a creative, an innovator in any kind of way that you need, like basically if your job description requires you to think deeply and like innovate, like this book is for you. And yeah, I'll stop talking about it, but I love it. And I'm really glad I reread that book. So that was like a nonfiction book. And then pivoting to a different genre, I read a fiction book called Night Crawling. Though it's fiction, it is inspired by real life events. So the setting of the book takes place in Oakland, and the Oakland Police Department in real life sexually exploited a child. And like, so that was sort of the inspiration behind the book, though the book is fiction, fictional characters, but though it's a fictionalized story inspired by a real life event, I think there's parts of this fiction story that like are really true to like things that are happening in the world, and it is well written. I gave this book a 5 out of 5, and I try to like hold my 5 out of 5s for something really special. The main character has this like very traumatic thing that happens, like, well, things that happen. Like her father was in jail unjustly, gets out, and then ends up dying of cancer. And her mother, after that, is just like, you know, grief-stricken, and when she's like going through this massive depression, her daughter, like a little baby, ends up passing away, and then the mother ends up in jail. And so the main character with her brother are like left on their own to care for themselves when they're just children themselves. They are left on their own because the brother's like just 18 and can like be the guardian. And then meanwhile, there's this other character, this young boy who ends up also without a parent, and she ends up like mothering, when she's just a child herself, this child. And it may seem like I'm giving away too much of the book right now, but that's just like the beginning, like the first chapter, I feel like, perhaps. So it's heavy, and it takes place in Oakland, which is an urban area, but the main character lives in this very poverty-stricken area. And like, how does she eat? Like, how does she care for this child? Like, how does she do these things? And so she finds herself in a situation like hungry, desperate, grieving, and then being sexually exploited. And so it's a heavy read. It's really heavy, and I think that's why I wanted to like mention that. So I'm not like just saying like read this book because it's heavy, but I also think you should read this book because it's heavy. And I think the best part about this book is that in the midst of this trauma and this like this young woman who's a survivor, she finds joy and love. And so even though it's a very like difficult story, there are moments of empowerment. It's just not all like, you know, these horrible things. It is, but there are these moments, these glimmers where you see the joy and the hope and the love. And for me, those were like the best parts of the book. I really recommend reading this. So I'm like really pleased with how much reading I'm getting done. Like, I set the goal to read 23 books in the year 2023, and like I think I'm at 9 books now, 8 or 9 books, and so I'll easily make my goal of 23 books. I think spring break helped because I had some extra time to read, and we didn't go anywhere for spring break. We stayed home, and Kyle's parents, my husband's parents, came to visit us for a little piece of it. And so we had like a staycation, if you will. So we did lots of fun things, tons of fun things over spring break, and they were all at home, and that's like really fun, right? And so I did so many fun things, I like had to write it down. Before Kyle's parents came, we did a zoo trip, and if you like have been following this channel for a while, you know I love to go to the zoo, and I love to take Matilda to the zoo. And we went to the zoo on a not sunny day. We went to the zoo when it was raining, which I have to recommend if you can like be a true like Pacific Northwester and like walk through the rain. I really recommend it because then the zoo's not busy. So there was like nobody at the zoo, just us. And then we happened to catch, there's 2 polar bears at the Oregon Zoo, Nora and Amelia, and we happened to catch Amelia's feeding time, and so the zookeeper was feeding, like hand feeding little fish and fat to Amelia, and they do that so they can like get Amelia to do like tricks, like stand things, so they can see inside her paws and check underneath her belly and things like this. And so that was really special. That was really fun to see. And then when Kyle's parents flew in, I think like the next day, we took them to the Oregon Symphony. And I've taken Matilda to the Oregon Symphony before, but normally we just go for like half because it's so late. So we'll leave it like intermission. Then Matilda can go to bed like not super late. But she didn't want to leave, she wanted to stay. And I'm not saying that she paid attention the entire time. She's 5. But she wanted to stay for the whole orchestra, the whole symphony, so we did. And that was really fun. We also did a 1-day little trip to Pacific City, and I love the coast. And I know that this is like, it's so funny. As I always say, the Pacific City is my favorite, and like people like that out here are like, what? No, it should be Cannon Beach. No, it should be, you know, everybody has an opinion. I love Pacific City, and one of the reasons why I love Pacific City is if you go out low tide, and if you go near the Pelican Brewery, and you go near the cliff, very specific, there are so many starfish, sea stars. I'm just obsessed. And so is Matilda. We are both really into them. And there's anemones. There's just all these like really good tidal pools. We've found like a bioluminescent like crab before over there. Like we find so many wonderful things in those tide pools over there. And I know that we could do that like lots of places in the Pacific Northwest, but it's a short drive there for that magical experience, and I just love it. And sometimes when I'm over there, I want to just like quit my job and go to school full time and like study starfish. And then that's just like so exact, like that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that, but I like love it. And Matilda's kind of like a little baby professor because she loves them too. And so then she'll want to watch these YouTube videos about starfish. And like because of Matilda, I've learned so much about starfish from her, wanting to watch all these YouTube videos. And so it's really fun. Okay, 2 more things that we did over spring break. So nearby here, there's like a museum that's never busy. It's just not super busy. And it is in McMinnville, and it's called the Evergreen Air and Space Museum. And it's just not like a super packed museum ever. And there's multiple buildings. There's like a water park, there's a space building, there's a cute like playground, there's an airplane museum, and then one of the buildings is like an IMAX theater, and they have these informational like videos, like educational videos. And so over spring break they were doing like a triple feature, like 3 videos about dinosaurs. We went to see one, and so 3D glasses and an IMAX, and again it's never busy, so like it's this huge theater, not very full. Though maybe for like more popular movies it would be than an educational video. But anyway, so we were watching this dinosaur video and Matilda loved it. She's been asking to go back to watch more dinosaur videos. But I don't know if they're still showing dinosaur videos. I need to actually look that up. But it's interesting she's asking to go back because she was terrified. Because like, imagine this. You're a preschooler, you're wearing 3D glasses, and there's these big scary dinosaurs. You know, so she was a little scared. But the video we watched was like Dinosaurs of Patagonia. It was very cool. Okay, the last spring break activity we did is we went to a birthday party, and it was a horseback riding birthday party. So Matilda got to ride a pony for the first time. And so it was like bigger than a little miniature pony and like smaller than a full-grown horse. And so it was like a really cool experience to like horseback ride, but it was like a pony. And she got to like brush the pony, walk the pony. It was just cool, the whole experience, and really cool birthday party. And yeah, and so they had multiple ponies at the stable, and so you could like pick your pony that you wanted to comb and ride. And so Matilda's like, they said, oh, Red. Red is the slow pony. So Matilda's not like an adventure seeker for like thrilling, like she doesn't need to go fast. She doesn't need to be like wild. That's just not who she is, which I get because I'm the same way. So she picks Red because she's told that Red walks slow. But what we didn't know is Red hadn't been out of his stable in like a day or two or something. And so Red was like very fast. Red was like the fastest horse. And so Matilda ended up riding the fastest horse, and she loved it so much. And I was just so proud of her that she was so brave, and like she's like one of the first girls on, and she like loved it. And yeah, so I don't know if we'll do that again. Like I kind of feel like maybe we will do it again because she really liked it a lot. So that was my spring break. It was a staycation. Didn't go anywhere, but we did a lot of fun things. Anyway, thanks so much for being here today. Thanks so much for watching this. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great week. If you celebrate Easter, I hope you have a really great Easter. And happy knitting. Bye!